Okay, so the first question is this. I guess I am breaking up with my girlfriend. I don't know what to do. How should I go forward?
It's just the both of us who have to answer.
Yes, Akka.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm breaking up with my girlfriend. I don't think you should think of breakup as a bad thing, because breaking up with your girlfriend is way better than breaking up with your wife. There would be a lot more of implications later on. So if you feel like there are enough reasons for you to break up, it could be a good thing. So you don't have to beat yourself up. But I don't know what to do, as in how to go about it. You have to tell her. There has to be some sort of open conversation. Don't just disappear on her. And I hope you have valid reasons why you want to break up. So an open conversation is the way to go. And yeah, I mean, it all depends on how she's going to respond. But if you have made up your mind, you should be able to just politely and not so harshly communicate that with her. Yeah, it is not possible sometimes to convince somebody why you want out. But you need to be very clear. So discuss this in with politeness. Yeah, that is what I would say.
Yeah, I also would like to add, you don't need to blame. Sometimes we get into this whole blaming thing, blaming ourselves and blaming the other person. That's something that you can avoid, and because that's not going to help you or help the other person. See what are the lessons that you've learned as a result of being in this relationship. Important learnings, lessons that you could have learned, and take that as learning for the future. So that is something that you can think about, and that way there's some positive that came out from this.
Thank you so much. I think the wounds would be very fresh if they just broken up. So here's the next question. Should I succumb to the pressure of being single? If not, how do I stand my ground?
I don't know if I understood the question. There is pressure to stay single, or there is pressure to...
No, the pressure to get committed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is part of the this appetizer. Yeah, appetizer, where there is pressure from society to do a lot of things. I mean, I talked about settling down, but it could be even to commit yourself to something. And it's important for us to not fall into any outside pressure. It can be from family, friends, or anything. But the moment we succumb to that pressure, then we are always living for somebody else approval, somebody else's validation, and we are doing it for others' sake. It might you may feel good at that moment because you're pleasing somebody, or you or the other person may feel good, but it's not going to help you in the long run, and you're going to be unhappy, and you're going to you will not be motivated enough to take it on to the end. So whatever is the pleasure, don't fall for it. You have to know why you are, what stage you are, why are you single, and what is your focus, what you want from life, and then be happy with that.
How do I stand my ground in front of whoever is putting pressure on you? Like if it's your parents, and you are clear about why you want to be single for a little more time, like why would you want a little more time before you settle down? You should be able to communicate that with him. In the end, I feel like a lot of parents seem very close in the beginning, but if you are mature and if you can communicate properly your stance, most parents understand, because in the end they want you to be happy. It is not like they are in a different team and you are in a different team. It's not some war, but it feels like that. But they also want the same things that you want out of life: to be happy, to settle down with somebody you like, and all of those things. So whatever your reasons are, have an open conversation with your parents and understand that they are on your side. in the end, eventually, even if they may not sound like that. Yeah.
Yoga, I got that. The third question, why is it painful to be single?
I think I'll go first. I feel like not everybody is supposed to have a partner. So there are people who would be very happy being single. I I don't know. My vocabulary would be somebody who is called to be single, and most people may not be in that boat. So it's a very natural thing to long for company, for companionship. And when it doesn't happen the way you dictate or the way you expect it to happen, it is painful. It is a very normal pain of life. So it is not something that is unique or something. Definitely, you're not called to be a single. You are longing for companionship, which is a very normal human desire to have. So that is why it is inbuilt in most of us to look for companionship. So when it doesn't happen, it is a normal thing to be painful about it.
But but here's the thing: you need not stay in that pain. You need not make that pain the dominating factor of your life, and let everything else run because of that. You can actually decide to distract yourself to find purpose in other things. Like, your whole love life and this relationship is only a part of your life. There are so many other things to your life, and focus on that. Focus on the things that we said, what you can learn, how you can socialize with your family, with your friends, avenues to do different things. So when you pull yourself away and focus on the other things and on your future, I think the pain is there. The pain is real. Like Sarah was saying, it's a normal thing that for us, we long to have a relationship, and that is real. But then when you don't focus on that as much, but focus on the other aspects of your life, you will be able to navigate better.
Whoever asked that question, I really hope you feel better after this. Here's the next question. How do we start loving ourselves?
I don't know. I think people have this, a lot of people have a negative idea of self-love because they start thinking about, oh, it's selfish. It's selfishness. It's not, self-love doesn't equate to selfishness the way I understand it. Basically, we all are wired to be happy with the way we are, right? Your physique, your emotional makeup, the things that we didn't choose for ourselves, the family we are born into, we are just wired to be happy with what we have. And it is so unfortunate that it is so difficult for us to be that way. So we are working backwards actually. First being unhappy for whatever reason, and then trying to find happiness or find self-love. So I feel like whatever you have to start accepting it as a gift. Like, people our age may not be even alive today. So when you start from that point of gratitude for what you have, you start accepting yourself. And then that is the first step. And like I said earlier, for me, it helped to know that God loves me. Some people turn to God or spirituality to know that there is somebody higher than myself who created me, who loves me as I am. He created me intentionally the way I am. My nose has to look this way, right? So I have to accept it and be grateful. I think accepting oneself and being grateful for everything in your life is the first step for loving oneself. Or because unless you love yourself, nobody's going to love you wholly, completely. The expectation somehow is that my husband or my wife is going to just fully love me even though I can't stand myself. Not going to happen. So we have to start accepting ourselves and love ourselves, and the first point I feel is being grateful.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. As life coaches, one of the first things that we do when we coach someone, regardless of what stage of life they are, how they come, what is their background, the first few sessions we spend, what we do is we get them to discover themselves. A lot of us really don't know ourselves. We have no clue of who we are, what our beliefs are, what is our personality, what are our values, what are our likes, what are our dislikes. And because we don't know ourselves, we don't take time to look inward to know ourselves. We really don't, it might be difficult to love ourselves. So I think one of the ways to really start loving us, I think the best way to start loving ourselves is to take time to discover yourself.
Jana, here's the next one. Social relationships are frowned upon in our society. I don't think our parents are going to be very happy with us socializing or seeing us on Tinder. What then? I think this was when you said you go to parties and make yourself visible.
So when I said make yourself visible, this was not the only point I said. So you have to see what works for you. The culture, the kind of community that we come from, everything matters, and it doesn't have to get to you, but at the same time, to maintain your peace and general well-being, you have to kind of understand what our parents or anybody else is saying about this. And yeah, so if being on Tinder is frowned upon because of reasons that they have, it's worth listening to them, to really see what their fears are, and try and see if there is a middle ground, or else yeah, that may not be the right thing. I don't know. What do you think, Subin? My parents were never for dating. So I'm the kind of person who wouldn't do anything behind their backs. But still, I managed to kind of get into relationships without their knowing. And I wouldn't go out so much because I'm scared. I wouldn't do anything behind their backs. I would, do those things. But then, yeah, it doesn't really help you sleep in the night properly, right? So, so yeah, uh, personally, I wouldn't do anything that will cause so much of disapproval and distress in the family. So maybe Tinder is not for me, is something I would decide after having a conversation with my parents if they're still against it. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think every family is unique, every individual is unique. So you have to see what works for you in the situation you're in the family you're in. But I think the understanding, number one, like what Sarah said, your parents want you to be happy. What you want for life is the same thing that they also want for your life. So you guys are together. I mean, they are on your side. They want the best for you. So to have these conversations, maybe not just one conversation, but rounds of conversations about your social life, about your relationship, to find out what their concerns are, and to take time to understand, be empathetic from to really see things from their point of view, understand that, and then address that. That goes a long way in addressing all these issues, all these concerns. The moment we have conversations and when they find out that we are really interested to know why they are feeling that way, or what their concerns are, and when we talk about that and when we meet them halfway, it'll really help. But Tinder is being on these socializing only on Tinder or all these things is not the only way. There are many things that we can do. So that's something that you have to see what works for you.
Thank you so much. Guys, before you leave, just please do fill the feedback forms that will be put up in the chat box shortly. Okay, the next question. Can you give us a few tips to enjoy singleness and some practical areas that I can, as a guy, that I should work on before I commit a life with a partner?
Yeah, a very good question. I really like that question, because you are now seeing what is the preparation I need to do, or what are the things that I can work on before you commit. So here's the thing. Number one, again, like what I said earlier, work on discovering, getting to know yourself better. Okay, take time. There are so many tools out there. There are coaches out there. If you need help, you've got to take time to discover yourself, because the way our education system and our family systems, everything is designed is to know what is on the outside. You can get educated about a lot of things, a lot of subjects. You can get to know the world out there, but little help is there for us to really know who we are. And so take time to understand yourself, discover yourself, and use as many books, as many coaches, as many tools for that. That way, when you really discover yourself, you will know who you are, you will know what you need, you will know what works for you, and that will solve a lot of problems. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to really focus on, like what I said, focus on learning. You learn the areas where what you're passionate about. Focus on learning a lot, learning about that. And today, the good thing is, when you want to learn something, you can enroll into a course, and then you automatically become part of a community, because then there are other people who are learning along with you. And when you are part of a community, that becomes like a strong support system to help you out, to help you through that. So focus on learning is another thing. And anything else, Sarah, you want to say?
No, it's the same thing, like self-discovery, and use this time to learn. One thing I can tell you is, once you settle down with a wife, there's a lot more of commitment. There'll be a lot of things that you have to collaborate, and it is not the same life. And it comes with its advantages, right? All of us are longing for that life, but then we happily forget the kind of liberty we have as a single. So make the best use of this time.
Thank you so much. Here's the next question. I am a college freshman and I like a girl, really. Should I propose to her? I am kind of afraid of the outcomes. This kind of feeling is completely new to me and I don't know what is to be done.
You want to answer, Sarah?
Well, I'm trying to understand the question. So if you're the kind of person who cannot really keep something to yourself, it may be better for you to go and tell her that you have feelings for her. I don't think these days people would take it so seriously on day one that, oh, I have to get married to this person. It just means that I like you, right? So I think that girl will take it like that, and it would be, it will open up some kind of conversation with you, which could lead you to something solid, or could lead you into the conclusion that this is not the one for me. So unless you explore, there is nothing much to be said here. But if you're a person who likes to take your time, like Subin, right? He can really keep a secret. He has liked me for months together and never told me. But life happened in such a way that I got transferred to the same city that he was living in, and then we met up, and he was kind of marriageable age, and we started talking. So if you're not that kind of a person, you want to get it off your chest, please go and maybe not propose, make it a little yeah, don't propose marriage like that, but yeah, you could tell her that you like her and you would want to go out with her or whatever. That's what I think.
Yeah, actually, there is really no perfect time to do this, if you'll ask me. So, and rarely do people say, they don't say things directly. Most of the times, it's those little cues that they would give. And the only way you can really know if it's the right time is the more time you spend, the more days you have, or the more times you spend with her, you would get to know if things have moved to a stage where you can actually go ahead and make this proposal. So yeah, there is no perfect time. You take your time, meet together often, have these conversations, and you will get to know. You will have this. You will have this strong feeling that, okay, this is the right time that I have to. That's mine.
It's not a bad thing you're telling her. You're just telling her you like her, no? So
Yeah.
what is the worst thing that can happen? She will say no. That's okay. So why are you afraid of outcomes?
And don't assume a lot of outcomes, because a lot of things, 90% of the things that you're thinking could happen, may not happen. So there's no point in wasting your time and energy on that.
Awesome. Okay, here's the next one. Why are people so resistant to the idea that single people can be truly happy? Do they think that happy singles see themselves as too good for coupledom?
I don't know what they think, because anything people react to, their reaction is actually a projection of what they are, their internal struggles. So we don't really know if it has anything to do with us. If somebody is looking at you a certain way, that, like in this question, like you're too good for coupledom, what big attitude you have? You're really happy, so you don't need to get married, right? That's what you think. If somebody is thinking like that, that's not really our problem. We really don't have to analyze what they're thinking. And it's impossible to know what they're thinking. Most of the time, people react because of whatever struggles they are going through. So, yeah, don't really be bothered about why people think what about you. Doesn't really make a difference to your life.
And it is not true that all people think that single people cannot be truly happy. There are a lot of people who think the other way also. And a lot of married people and committed people, they would, I think they are not very happy, so they would want, they'll be like, okay, why they're feeling bad that those guys are really single and happy and free, and they're like, guys, come and commit yourself and get married, then you'll experience the misery.
The grass is always greener on the other side. Okay, here's the next one. How can singles overcome the darkness that gets hung around our necks? It seems that the more we proclaim our strength and desire to be single, the more we are accused of bitterness.
Okay, I have had friends, women in their mid 30s and late 30s who are not married, and they are not desperate. They are looking, but then the right people have to come, right? Whatever proposals they are getting, they are not really liking for valid reasons, like they don't want, they may not like that proposal for whatever reason, but people assume that it's because they have these high standards for themselves. So yeah, going back to what I said, people can say whatever they want. There could be 100 things that are motivating them to say or assume things about you, but in the end, you have to know that you have to live your life. So being single, waiting till you are very convinced about somebody, all that is your choice, and you have to just stay strong in what you think, because in the end, when you get married to somebody and it's not working out, none of these things none of these people who pressurized you to get married will come to your rescue. They cannot save anything. So yeah, we should not worry so much about what other people think. Yeah.
And find the right people. If you are with the wrong friends, if you think you're with people who are who are constantly accusing you and belittling you and looking down on your singlehood, get away from those guys. Find another community, people who support you, people who are there for you. I know when it is family, it's difficult, but then find there are so many communities, so many people out there who are single, who are happy, or who think this way. So hang around with those guys, and to have that support group is very important. So actively look out for that, and spend lesser time with those who are toxic, who are accusing you and belittling you.
Here's the next one. I can't get over my past. Can you give me some tips?
I got an anonymous question also. So on similar lines, I have so many trust issues and insecurities because I was in a very difficult relationship. How am I supposed to deal with that? Yeah, I can't get over my past. Similar. You want to go first? So?
No, you answer, no?
Okay. It is common that it is not, people don't just snap out of their past. So you don't have to give yourself a certain timeline. Okay, so it's been 1 month, I am supposed to feel normal. It doesn't work that way. It varies from person to person. So be patient with yourself. It is a normal thing. When in fact, breakup or something that went bad with a previous relationship, if that is the past that you are mentioning, then there is something called 5 stages sorry, that you will go through to get over something, in the sense that there is a grief that is attached, sadness that is attached to this not working out. And so give it enough time. Don't give it a certain timeline. Just because somebody just snapped out or something, it doesn't mean it has to happen to you. So be patient with you. It's normal to feel a little lost, and we all feel bad about it and cry and all of those things. But the thing is that at some point you will feel emotionally stable, and at that point you have to ask yourself these questions. Does it help me to hold to this, to hold on to this pain, or to hold on to the belief that I have uh, come out of this with? Does it serve me? If it does not serve you, you have to say, okay, now this has been a good lesson, that this person has broken my trust or whatever, and it did not work out for me. What is it that I learned from it? So that was a good lesson, right? So I look at something else as a fresh episode, and always replace whatever belief system that you have with a positive one. So that way your brain will get trained to focus on positive things. For example, if you have trust issues, like I mentioned earlier also, you have to tell yourself, you have to find something that will replace that was a good lesson that I learned, but it doesn't mean that everybody else is not trustworthy, so I am open to trusting people. At least that one sentence, keep saying it to yourself, or have that positive thought going. And if you are a spiritual person, I'm sure your scriptures would have something helpful in that regard. So find something positive to replace the belief system that you took away from this bad relationship. So give yourself time, be patient. At the same time, when you're emotionally stable, ask yourself, is it worth holding on to it? If it's not, how can I replace the negative belief with a positive one?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And also one, because you're talking about the past, instead of dwelling so much on the past, like Sarah said, you can learn things from the past and then see how those things that I've learned can help me today and for my future. But another important thing that you can do is to actually focus on the present, live in the present. You can do things like, anything that you love doing, activities that you love doing, or even things like meditation and exercise and things like that, which will make you more mindful of the present. And that's something that you have to constantly keep doing, and that'll really help.
Thank you so much, Anna. Here's the next question. I'm 40 and single. Is it too late for me to find love?
Nothing is too late. If you still have the longing, if you're clear about you don't want to be single, please be open, please look out. I have a friend who found the right person at 45. Recently, I came across a dating coach who found her love at 60. She's been single till 60. So I'm not saying you have to go till there, but I'm saying that age should not limit you to find love.
Yes. Yes, Anna. Okay.
I just said absolutely.
Okay. Then here's the next question. My boyfriend and I are from different family upbringings. We are both at the right age to settle down and have similar views on life and similar interests. How important is family compatibility for us to take it forward?
I'm faster in responding, so I'll go. So I don't think, even if you're from the similar kind of cultural background, all of us come from unique families, and it's so difficult to tick all the boxes when it comes to compatibility, especially taking into consideration the family backgrounds. So both of us are from Kerala, so we are from Malayali families, but then so much of differences between the two families. There isn't so much of similarity. But yes, at the end of the day, both of us speak the same language. So that could be a similarity, but otherwise there's nothing much. So even two people coming from the same community and similar looking backgrounds can be so different because of their upbringings. And how important is compatibility is based on how much, what you value in life. Again, it goes back to self discovery, or what you know is important to you. Like if you want, if you've if family bonding is such a big value for you, so I don't think an American family and a Malayali family like mine would gel well like that. But they would respect each other and they would have very cordial relationships. But then that kind of bonding, if it is so important for me, just like it happened to my cousin's family, it may not happen. So if it goes back to what you really want in your life. Yeah. So when you want to add?
Yeah, I think that it's a very tough question to answer. So in little time, but I think every your family's the level of compatibility is it is not that important as to how much peace you make about each other's family. So it's a conversation that you have to have, and yeah, take it from there.
Your compatibility is more important than the family's compatibility. Like I have a cousin who is married to an American, and they are very happy. They have 3 children. They understand each other. The families are not very close because there are limitations for the older generation to even understand each other so much. But then that doesn't affect their relationship. So it depends on what your values are. If family bonding is a big value for you, please find somebody from your own community. You cannot merge 2 entirely different communities together.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here's the next one. How to move on after being in a relationship for a long time?
I'll let you go first, Subin.
Okay. So I'm hoping that you've broken the relationship and now that you're looking forward to finding a new. Yeah. So if that is the question, I know it is not easy because you may be carrying a lot from the previous relationship, but like we said earlier, it is important for you to actually take time to reflect on the things that happened in the previous relationship, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. It's okay to process, to have those emotions, let it come out, process those feelings, process those thoughts, and write down everything, all the things that went well, that didn't go well, and what are your learnings from that, and what are the things that you can take from that relationship into your future. So that's almost like making peace with your past. That's very important, because if you don't take time to analyze and take time to see what happened in the previous relationship, you will not be ready. And even if you think you are ready, halfway you will end up carrying a lot of baggages into the next relationship, which you don't want. So yeah, that is one important step for you to do, to take time to analyze what happened in the past with the other relationship. That's one thing I would say. Is there
anything to add, Akka?
Not really. I think if it's not had a very healthy impact on you and you've decided to move on, stay strong on that. And I think a lot of stuff about moving on becomes difficult because we think of what other people would think. So I had this friend who had been dating this guy for the longest time. Their parents were all ready to get them married, and then one fine day they just broke up. So I think more than the grief of breaking up with this guy, she was more heartbroken about the families now, how are they going to move on and things like that. At this point, I think you should just take care of yourself and not think too much about what other people are thinking.
Yeah, also to not rush into the next stage. Take time. Everybody is unique. Just because the other person has moved on, it may not mean that you should also now move on immediately and find something. Take time. You are unique. Take time to process it. Take time till you are ready. to move to the next thing. So it's okay, it's perfectly okay.
Guys, don't forget to fill the feedback forms. It's there in the chat box. Also, Anna and Akka, we have actually a lot of questions. So maybe we can make the answers slightly more crisper so that we can get through them quickly. Okay, here's the next one. What do we do when we are afraid of commitment because you feel like you are giving away your independence? Will being single for a long time in your 20s make it harder for one to commit?
It takes a lot of compromise and sacrifice to be with another person. Like I said, there is a lot of advantage being with another person, to be married or to be committed to another person, but we want it all free of cost and effort. It doesn't happen. So you have to choose one. So while you're independent, do stuff that you want, grow as a person, all of that. But when you become more aware of who you are. In fact, in the late 20s and the early 30s, it just makes it very difficult to find somebody who will gel well with you. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. What is the point in being foolish and getting into a commitment when you're 22? There is no point in that as well. So if you are in this age category, I'm sure it is difficult for you to find somebody who will gel completely with you. But commitment comes with a cost, and think through that if you want to do that.
If you're mindfully single in your 20s and live long, doesn't matter. I would say that it is easier for you to commit. It's not harder, but be mindfully single. Work on yourself, getting to know yourself more. That way you'll be prepared.
As opposed to being single because of pressure. Okay. Okay, here are two questions. They're a little similar, so I put them together. What to do when parents blackmail their child to get married? For example, they threaten to kill themselves. And another question is, my family is forcing me to marry a person. I didn't like her. What should I do?
I don't know. This kind of drama happens a lot in Indian families. Parents do all of this without realizing how it impacts us. I think it is better for us to know why we don't want something and communicate it and keep communicating it and be patient with your parents till they understand it. You don't have to rush into anything. At least buy some time for you to talk through this, but they will eventually calm down.
If you have tried everything, and
anybody out of force, yeah.
It's not easy, but if you've tried everything and they're still, you're still going in the same cycle where they're threatening to kill themselves and blackmailing you and stuff like that, it's time that you move out. I would say, as long as you're financially dependent on them, you need to, listen to them and agree with whatever they're saying. But if you want to, if you are able to be financially independent, move out of the house, have your own life, then you can make your own decision. So, but this is having done everything, having those conversations and giving it and being patient with them and trying to understand them after that.
It's a very difficult situation when it's against you versus your parents sort of a situation. Okay, here's the next one. I have been through a lot of heartbreaks that I now think that I'm a bad boy to commit again. I cannot stay in a proper relationship. What do I do?
Again, the same thing that we said about how to get over the past. Have you taken the time to think about what went wrong? Have you learned your lessons? Have you reached your conclusions about what actually happened? And so once you do that, it's easy to look upon the past as lessons and then move on into the future. And all of these things are interconnected because your belief system is getting carried into the future as well, right? So you have to break it at some point. So a good place to start would be to reflect on what happened and what are the lessons I can learn. Does it serve me if I hold on to it? You will never be in a good relationship if you hold on to this kind of regret or guilt, whatever it was. It's fine. People evolve, they get better in their character. If you think you have done some mistake, you've learned your lesson. You would not, if you've really learned your lesson, you would not do the same thing again. You must be a very foolish person to do that. So I believe you're not that person. So if you learned your lesson, please move on. And like I said earlier, replace your negative beliefs with something positive so that you can look forward to your future.
Yes.
Here's the next one. Okay. I am in love with a married man. He also loves me and says that he and his wife married out of convenience because their parents made them. I feel like we have a shot, but only if his situation changes. It feels like I won't ever find anyone like him. Is commitment an option, or should I just stay single?
I'm glad you said it feels like I won't ever find anyone like him. I want to agree with you. It's a feeling. When we are in love, we feel like, oh, this is heaven, this is the right one. And you are emotionally very much engaged with this person. So there is no wonder you feel like that. But at the end of the day, it is a feeling. And he is a person who hasn't really shown any steps towards taking you seriously. He is a married person. So if he has married his wife out of convenience, what are his future plans with you? So you have to answer these questions for yourself. Like, how does it serve me to be in a relationship with somebody who is not taking any steps towards committing to me? He's already committed to somebody. So all those, so much of conversation needs to be had with him and with yourself. Um, what do you say, Subin?
Yeah, I think a married man, if he's really not loving it and he's not really committed to his wife, but is considering you, what is the guarantee that he's not considering somebody else? So you really cannot completely trust someone like this. So there is, and you cannot wait forever as well. So you don't know what his commitment is towards his wife. What you so that's something that it may only be a feeling, like Sarah was saying. It may be only a feeling that you will never find anyone like him. But then I think you need to look at other options. You need to look at your life and see how you can move on and how you can find others who show interest in other people as well, because you really cannot completely trust this man whom you think you are in love.
Thank you so much for the Raka and Anna. Here's the next question. Can you hear me?
Studies show that women, that one?
Yes. Yes, studies show that women are more likely to benefit from singlehood than marriage, than men who will benefit greatly after marriage. Women can even adopt kids without a man. Singlehood seems like a much better choice for us financially, health wise, mentally, etc. When I say these to people who accuse me of being too happy for being single, they say I'm a man hater. How do I handle such comments, unwanted comments, more effectively?
I studied in a women's college, and I've had too many professors who were feminists. So I also am a feminist to a large extent. So I completely understand what you're saying. But I don't agree that women don't benefit out of marriage. I think both men and women benefit financially, health wise, mentally, etc., from a marriage. Having said that, if you are very happy being single, then that you may be called to be a single person. That's okay. What others think, what others say shouldn't bother you so much. But if you are deciding to be single because you believe all of this, then maybe you can reconsider talking to a few women who are happily married or look up other research papers as well, because I'm sure there is enough research done for women being happy in marriage. So yeah, so you have to have that dialogue with yourself. Why am I feeling this way? Is it just that I am veering towards singlehood because I like it that way, and there is no specific reason, I'm just so happy being single? Then maybe you can continue like that. But if it is from a misconception or because of some bitterness or anything like that, then you have to work through it, because in the end you will not be happy if you're just covering it up by this. But both are clear options for you. Only you would be able to tell for sure what is the case.
So we are down to the last two questions. Staying single till you are stable with a job, able to handle yourself, and you're a better person, etc., is what is often advocated. What are your thoughts on this?
I wish everybody just stayed single till they are stable with a job, able to financially provide for himself and for the family or the person that he is marrying, handle himself or herself, and a better person. So I wish everybody just stayed single till they achieved all of this. Then a lot of trouble in marriage would have been avoided. I think people just say this as something that they've learned from their own lives. Like I know for a fact that both of us got married really early, and in different ways we were a mess individually. And I wish we had taken some time to discover ourselves, to sort a lot of our problems before we came together. So I am for the statement actually.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, so look at it this way. If you are single, unstable, jobless, unable to handle yourself, and not a great person, and then you get into this relationship and you want to get married, you will, the only way is the ditch you are in, you will pull the other person also into the same ditch, and both of you will, and it's going to be a mess. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help anybody. So yes, I completely agree with this statement, and I think everybody should look at moving into stability, becoming a better person, finding your purpose, getting to know yourself better, and then get into a relationship. Yeah.
And we're not saying wait till you become perfect. Nobody becomes perfect, but stability to a large extent is good, emotional, financial, everything, right? So get a little better till you feel kind of stable, you can handle one more person. That would be a good time to think of being committed.
Awesome. That was a brilliant answer. Thank you so much. And we're down to the last question. Why do people react violently to rejections? We see so much violence regarding this aspect. Can you share on how we can accept rejections? I think they're talking about the lot of cases that happen when girls reject guys.
So you look confused.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand.
No, sometimes people react violently when they're rejected, like acid attacks, and just not letting you live peacefully just because they got rejected. How do you deal with that? How to accept rejections? Yeah.
Even things like online stalking and all of that drama that happens these days, especially.
Yeah, I think so. Why people is, I will just answer the first part of it. I think the reason why people do that is because they are really hurt, and I think rejection can hurt a lot, and people who don't take it in the right way, and who are not able to handle their emotions, handle their behaviors, would go on to will make the hurt express differently through these different ways. So I think that is one of the reasons they react violently. Yeah, the other part, how to accept rejections, Sarah, you want to talk about?
So they have to take personal responsibility about how they are managing their own emotions. If they cannot take a no from somebody, then you have to really question their emotional stability or their, life skills to be responding to situations in a normal fashion. So sadly, our education system and all doesn't really equip us for that, because of which people react violently and all of that, which is completely not called for. Now, how can you accept rejection? Is just by being in a place to understand that everybody has the right to choice and everybody has an opinion, and it just went against you. What is the big deal? I mean, in the sense that when you're rejected in love, it hurts, but like Subin said, it is a life skill to be able to handle the hurt, and most people don't have it. So it is just like being rejected at an audition. It is just like being rejected at a job. It's just the same way somebody is rejecting you from, in love as well. So one has to be taking that as another person's opinion, another person's stand, and you have to be able to respect that. So if you're getting rejected, it's okay to feel sad, because all of us feel sad. But then realize that it's that person's choice and respect that.
I think a lot of times people assume that once they are rejected, they are worthless, or they're not they're not good enough, and that is what leads to that anger. But I think if you just understand that they are rejecting that love for that person, it's not rejecting the person themselves, but just that situation, I think it would be a little better.
Yeah,